the subject, which is about the teaching and assessment of the macro skills. We are the group one who will be the presenter for the topic about listening. But before we proceed on that discussion, may I call Miss Rachel and Abituela to present the opening prayer. All close our eyes and feel the presence of the Lord Jesus Christ.
So before to move to our topic, let's watch a short video first. So after watching the short video, what do you think is our lesson for today?
Um, Based from the video, I think it's about listening.
Okay, Aberilia, very good. Who can read the meaning of listening?
It is a communication technique that requires the listeners to understand, interpret, and evaluate what they hear. It is served as an approach to make everybody comprehend which is being said.
Belbes, please explain what is listening.
What comes to your mind when you hear the word listening? First of all, the way I spoke, you need to use the communication technique, the listening, is to understand and interpret, evaluate what they hear. Listening, it's not just about what you hear, you need to comprehend what is being said. On the other hand, learners will develop prediction, anticipation, skill in listening. Without listening, communication will be crippled. It is vital and should be the main part of communication. So, based to this statement, listening is one of the important communication skills. So, without listening, communication will be crippled. So, it means there will be no communication if there is no listening. Listening is the very important part in communication, especially in language.
First of all, I'm Marbian Antonio, your presenter in listening strategies. First, listening strategies, it is the technique or activities that contribute directly to the comprehensions and recall of listening input. So, we all know that listening is the technique on how to understand the topic or the text, and we often use this for comprehensions to input the learning that we heard. So, next slide. So, this these are the two strategies that we need to know. First is the top-down strategies. So when you hear the top-down strategies, what comes into your mind? Anybody? Okay, I'm the one who define first. The less background knowledge activates a set of expectations that help the listener to interpret what is heard and anticipate what will come next. So, based from the definition, um, top-down strategies are the listener uses background knowledge of the topic to make sense of what they listen to. So, it was focused on the content. So, the listener already knows a fair amount of information about the topic, so they can predict or expect what will come next. So, did you understand po?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, next slide. These are the top-down strategies include, first is the listening for the main idea. So what is listening for the main idea? So when it talks about the main idea, it is the most important idea in the conversation or talk about. Um, it usually at the start of the conversation, which is the heart of the conversation. Like for example, um, you listen to the message from your speaker based from his experience in life. So you can point out the important details or the repeated word that he already said and he always talk about of his speech. So based from the example, you can analyze what what is all about for for his speech. Next one is the predicting. I think this word was familiar to all of you. And so when it talks about prediction, it's a guess or we make some prediction to guess what will happen next. So for example, you listen well as your teacher shared with you about she spent holiday break. So while you are listening, there's something being formed into your mind to imagine or make some background about what your teacher doing during her holiday break. Did you understand po?
Yes po.
Okay? So drawing inferences, it will help you for further enhance your critical thinking skills. Like for example, a character has a diaper in her hand, spiked out of her shirt, and a bottle warming on the counter. So based from the example, you can infer that his character is a mother because based from the description, it described the characteristic or task of a mother. So lastly is the summarizing. So when it talks about summarizing, it is repeating a summary of what has been said back to the speaker. It is a technique used by the listener to repeat what has been said in their own words. Like for example, your teacher reads some stories about Notre Dame. Did you familiar about Notre Dame story?
No po.
Okay. Never mind. And after she read the story, teacher asks students what they understand about the story. So you can now use the summarizing. You can tell to your teacher the some important details about the story that you heard from her. Okay, next slide. The second one strategies is the bottom-up strategies. This listener relies on the language and the message that is the combination of sounds, words, and grammar that creates meaning. So the listener attempts to make sense of the language sound by sound or word with less use of background knowledge. So like for example, in one of your classes, your teacher asks you to listen to a pre-recorded conversation and identify where talk place. So using the sounds that you heard from pre-recorded, you can identify where the conversation took place using the sound. So these are the bottom-up strategies include first, the listening for specific details. The second one is recognizing cognates. And lastly, the recognizing word order pattern. So next slide. So that's one. What did you see about the picture? Did you have any idea? Anyone?
It's like the pyramid of Egypt.
Okay. Thank you. So according to this pyramid, to be effective to learn, we must to teach someone else. If you took, if you look up, if you look at the picture, 90% was to teach others. Practice doing 75%, and 50% for discussions, 30% to demonstrations, 20% to audio visuals, and 10% to reading, and lastly the 5% is to lecture. So uh, learning pyramid based from the information I gathered, this is a model suggests that some methods of the study are more effective than others, and that varying study methods will lead to deeper learning and longer term retentions. So that's it. Thank you.
So, okay, thank you, Miss Antonio. So, now let's move to the types of listening. Miss Alcantara, please discuss.
Listening first is listening for a gist, which means you listen in order to understand the main idea of the text. In other words, the listener is trying to pick a keyword to guess the meaning. Say, for example, words such as cough, towel, wait, Lord, and sunny have their own meanings. But when you hear the words in a written passage, it will help the listener understand that the context is used is the context of each phrase. Those words, the keywords, that will make the listener get the information they want. In short, the listener only focuses to the main idea. So next is listening for specific information, which means find out specific details. That also means or also refers to exact and precise facts or descriptions of something mentioned in the text. Say for example in real life, where we listen only for some specific details and ignore the rest of the entire message. So next is listening for details, which means understand all the information. It is really understandable that the listeners want to comprehend and understand all the information. Those three is the types of listening.
Now, let's move to the suggestion for improving your listening skill to be shared by Miss Verdan.
Hello everyone. I am Regine Verdan and I will be the one who will discuss about suggestion for improving your listening skills. So first, before you listen, first think about the topic of the text you are going to listen to. That means before you listen, think about the topic. Ask yourself ask yourself first, what do you already know about the topic? And which word would you want to look up? So for example, when we are listening to a argument and it talks about controversial issues nowadays, so at, at this point, we already have an idea about that issue. So as a listener, we are looking for a new ideas or opinions. So before we listen, we need to we should focus on the things or words we are looking for. We don't need to remember everything about that arguments. Just focus on the thing you are looking for. Next, um, please read Mars. Read po.
Alin po dyan?
Yung second.
Think about what type of text you are going to listen to.
Thank you. So, before you listen, you should consider what type of text you are going to listen. So, why do we need to consider this? Because we can easily connect or get the ideas of the topic if we already know what type of text we are going to listen. Next, please read Angelica May. Relax, make yourself ready to pay attention to the listening text. Thank you. So it is the most important before you listen. Be calm, relax yourself, pay attention, and prepare yourself to listen. To easily understand the topic. And also, as much as possible, before you listen,
Try to ignore those words that you think are less important anyway.
It seems like we're just scanning while reading because we only look for important details. So if I would ask you if it is okay to ignore those unnecessary words, what would be your reaction? Also for me, it is okay because as a listener, why would I why would I listen to those unnecessary words if it wouldn't help at the end? So remember, while listening, just focus on the important details to easily understand the whole topic. Next, please read.
If there are words or issues that you don't understand, use your general knowledge as well as the context to find out the meaning.
Thank you. So we we always or sometimes we encounter this when we are listening. Sometimes there is a vocabulary words that we don't understand, but we haven't enough time to search for or ask for help because the speaker would would not adjust for a listener. So as a listener, use your general knowledge. That's what I've mentioned in the first one. We easily understand the context if we understand the important details. At this point, if we know the important details, those words that we don't understand, we can connect or understand them through them in important details. Nagigets pa?
Yes po.
So next, please read. Use a dictionary to look up for the words or ask someone else for help. So thank you. So if we have time to search for a meaning or there's someone who can help us to understand the meaning that we did not understand while we are listening, try to ask for help. There is nothing wrong about it. Next,
Focus on keywords and facts.
focus on keywords and facts. Yan na po yung tinutukoy kong mga important details. Next. Next.
Take notes to support your memory.
Thank you. So it is important to take notes because sometimes we easily forget what we heard. Next, intonation and stress of the speaker can help you to understand what you hear. So, ang speaker, they always emphasize the words. Understand and para matandaan siya kang listener. Try to think ahead. So, try to think ahead. As a listener, sometimes, nasa middle pa lang speaker, but we already created our own theory. Sometimes, napipredict na natin ang magiging end. Please read po, yung whole.
After listening, think about the text again. Remember the speculations you made before you listened. Review your notes.
Thank you. So, to summarize that after listening, just always remember that review your notes para ma-refresh yung that's all.
Those is all about listening that will help you to improve your listening skills to be an effective listener.